Raven embarks on a daring quest to bring light back to a world shrouded in darkness, outsmarting a powerful old man to unleash the sun, moon, and stars, ultimately transforming the planet and himself in the process. Raven brings the light, a tale of bravery and curiosity. Long, long ago, before the world was bright and full of life, there was only darkness. Can you imagine that? No golden sun, no glowing moon, not even a single twinkling star. Just cold, endless shadows. The animals crept and stumbled, unsure of where to go. The people huddled, dreaming of light they had never seen. Then came a creature like no other, bold, clever, and full of mischief, Raven. He wouldn't accept a world without light. And from that moment, everything began to change. This is the magical tale of how Raven brought the light to the world and taught us all the power of determination and wisdom. The world without light was empty and quiet, as if the earth itself was asleep. Rivers flowed in silence, unable to sparkle. Forests stood still, hiding in the darkness. The people whispered about an old legend, one that filled them with hope. They said light was hidden far, far away, guarded by someone mysterious. Too afraid of the unknown, they dared not go looking for it. But Raven wasn't like the others. He was curious and loved solving mysteries. Most of all, he couldn't stand to see his world so dark. "Why should we live in shadows when there is light to be found?" he called out. "I will venture to the ends of the earth to find it," he declared. And with a mighty flap of his black and white wings, Raven soared into the endless night. Raven flew through forests and across mountains, over rivers and unseen valleys. Finally, at the very edge of the world, he spotted a grand lodge glowing faintly from within. Inside, an old man sat by a fire. He looked wise but stern, with a long silver beard. On his lap rested a great wooden box carved with strange symbols. It was no ordinary box. It held the sun, the moon, and the stars. Raven perched on a nearby tree, watching. Every so often, the old man would open the box just a crack, letting out a thin beam of golden light. For a fleeting moment, the world gleamed. Then the box would close, and darkness returned. I must get that light, Raven thought. But how? The old man was powerful and cautious. Raven couldn't fight him head-on. Yet he was no ordinary bird. He was clever, a trickster, and tricksters always find a way. Raven came closer, plotting his next move. He took a deep breath, flapped his wings, and transformed into something so small, a speck of dust. Light as air, he floated through the cracks of the wooden lodge until he reached the old man's daughter, who was sipping from a cup of water. With a leap of magic, Raven became part of that water, and when she drank, he slipped quietly into her belly. Days passed, and soon the daughter grew round like the moon. She gave birth to a baby boy, none other than Raven in disguise. The old man's heart melted at the sight of his grandson. He showered the child with affection and granted his every wish. One day, the boy, with wide, curious eyes, pointed to the gleaming wooden box and cooed, "Grandfather, can I see what's inside?" The old man chuckled and patted the child's head. "No, my dear, the light is too powerful. It must remain hidden." But Raven was a trickster. He cried, he wailed, he wriggled around like a restless fish. Finally, drained of patience, the old man gave in. With a sigh, he opened the lid just a fraction. A narrow beam burst out, lighting the shadows of the room. It was the most dazzling sight Raven had ever seen. But he didn't stop there. "Please, grandfather," the child begged, his tiny hands reaching toward the box. The old man hesitated, then opened the lid slightly wider. That was when Raven struck. In the blink of an eye, the baby shape disappeared, replaced by the proud bird with gleaming black and white feathers. Caw! With a triumphant cry, Raven grabbed the sun, the moon, and the stars in his sharp beak and shot out of the lodge. The old man roared in fury. Grabbing his magical staff, he stormed out of the lodge, shouting after Raven. But the clever bird was already high in the sky, flying faster than the wind. The sun rested in his beak, hot and heavy as molten gold. The moon and stars wobbled precariously as he clutched them. "I won't let go," Raven panted, flapping harder. When the weight grew unbearable, Raven tossed the stars first. They flew into the heavens, scattering and sparkling brilliantly. Forevermore, they lit up the darkest nights. Next came the moon. With a mighty toss, Raven flung it high into the sky, just far enough to guide travelers lost in the shadows. But the sun was fierce, blazing with heat. The longer Raven carried it, the more it burned his feathers. Smoke rose from his wings, pain seared through his body, but still, Raven held on. With one final cry of determination, he hurled the sun into the sky. The sun ignited the world below. Rivers shimmered, mountains glowed, and the forests danced in golden light. For the first time, animals and people could see their beautiful world. Raven had done it. Light had returned to the earth. Exhausted from his journey, Raven landed by a crystal-clear river. He bent down to drink, but stopped when he saw his reflection. His once white feathers were charred black, scorched by the sun's heat. He stared for a moment, and then, to everyone's surprise, he laughed, a loud, triumphant laugh that echoed into the hills. "The light is free," he cried. "The world will never be the same again." From that day forward, all ravens were born with black feathers, a reminder of their ancestors' bravery, wit, and sacrifice. And so, dear friends, the clever raven gifted the world the greatest treasure of all, light. Through his courage and cleverness, he showed us that even in the darkest times, we can find a way to bring brightness into our lives. So the next time you see a raven flying across the sky, don't just think of him as any old bird. Remember, he is a hero, a trickster, and the bringer of light. If you enjoyed this magical story filled with lessons and wonder, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the adventure with your friends. The world is full of stories waiting to be told. The end.